59.
Welcome to Rock and Roll Tennis, the #1 tennis podcast with your host, Keith Fraser. Yes, that's me. And my sidekick and former British #1, Mr. John Lloyd. So, welcome to another edition of Rock and Roll Tennis. I'm here, as always, with my main man, the bronzed Adonis, and he is bronzed. His tan is getting up to scratch again. He is the rousing raconteur, the housewife's heartthrob, John Flossie Lloyd. John, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yes, we played a couple of hours of tennis today. It is steamy here in Florida now. It says summer has arrived, although there's about to be a thunderstorm, but it is hot. But it's good. A nice little couple of hours, and now I'm ready to have a nice chat.
But listen, we've got a great guest again, John, because this guy is a legend of the sport in his own right. You know, he's 30 years working at Grand Slam events. His first Slam event that he officiated in was, I believe, the US Open in 1987, and 25 years at the ATP. He was the vice president, I believe, of officiating. He has been inducted to the Swedish Tennis Hall of Fame, I believe. And what can I say? He's the only chair umpire, I believe, to have officiated the men's and women's Wimbledon final. And one of them was that great final in 2009 between Roddick and Federer. He's now obviously the co-tournament director of the China Open, the biggest tournament in Asia. Without further ado, you know, this guy is, what can I say, probably the most acclaimed officiator, umpire of them all. It is Lars Graff. Lars, finally welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. What can I say after an introduction like that? You must be a very good friend of mine.
Well, we've known each other a long time. And it is great to have you on, because I know obviously now you've officially left the ATP. The muzzle is off, so to speak. So you don't have to sort of be so politically correct as you always are, and you're a true pro. And the other thing is that, and I know that, John, you didn't watch much of it last summer, I think, was Ultimate Tennis Showdown, which was the Mouratoglou kind of idea. Do you like different scoring formats, Lars? And do you think it's the future to make the game more accessible to non-tennis fans?
Definitely. I think this is something that needs to happen very, very quickly. It happens in golf. How many different formats do we have in America on the PGA Tour? They have Matchplay, they have normal tournaments, they have skins games, whatever. I mean, tennis needs to have different scoring formats. They need to have different competition formats. If it's a country against country, or if it's a different scoring format, you play. I remember you had a guest who was talking about, what was it, 4 formats, first to 4.
Yes, the what did we say? 30-30 tennis.
30-30, yeah. I mean, cricket is doing it. I mean, any sport is doing it. I think tennis is very important. That tennis in the future is looking into this. And those kind of different formats, or this kind of different competition, I think they need to count for ranking also. Because if you have exhibition matches, if you have that, you need to have a possibility to have ranking coming in those different formats also. Because then the best players will play there. And I think now there is so much competition. I mean, look at me. I'm coming from Sweden. In Sweden, John knows, used to have tremendous amount of tennis players. In the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 20s. Today, how many professional tennis players do we have who make a living in Sweden? We have the Ymir brothers, and then we have one girl, Rebecca Pettersson.
That's it.
I have 15 to 20 guys playing main draw in a Grand Slam, Sweden. Why has this happened? Because the competition from other sports is tremendous. And I see one thing I see in Sweden that I don't see here in America is that paddle. Paddle is now what all kids are playing. The former tennis players, Jonas Björkman, is now the team captain of the Swedish national paddle team. There's so much competition from other sports. Tennis needs to do something to be part of that, because John and I, we can watch matches 4 or 5 hours, but my son is not going to sit 4 or 5 hours and watch a tennis match.
Absolutely right.
You say it all the time, don't you, John?
I say that all the time. Look, in so many ways, I love tennis. I love what it stands for. I love these matches, the great history, the tradition of it, and all that stuff. But at some stage, you have to cater to the fans, and the new generation coming up is not going to sit there and watch a 4-hour tennis match. They're not. They're just not going to do that. I mean, yeah, they'll go wandering in and out, Grand Slams and so on and so on. But realistically, the TV is what drives the sport, and people are not going to sit there and watch 4 or 5 hour matches. They're just not. And much as I like the history, and I'm a traditionalist in some ways, we have to move with the times. I mean, in the States now, pickleball is becoming a huge thing in tennis. Well, not in tennis, I mean, as a rival to tennis. And clubs now are creating pickleballs and using the tennis courts to put on, I think you can put 4 pickleball courts on 1 tennis court, I believe, or something, or maybe more. I haven't really played it yet, but I see the enthusiasm. We've got to keep up with that. And I have to say one thing, the pandemic, as tragic it has been, but in the States, and I don't know if it's like that everywhere in Europe, probably not because of lockdown and all that, but here, tennis was really the only sport with golf that obviously you could kind of play even when the pandemic was on. And there's been a huge boom here. I mean, the tennis pros here, they're doing 12 hours lessons a day, not just in Florida. I'm talking about all over the place. This is another opportunity from a sad position where we have a chance to keep this momentum going with tennis, and we've got to grab people's enthusiasm for the game and keep it there. And if there are new things that come in with scoring and shortening and all this sort of stuff, we've got to do it. Otherwise, we'll get lost in the shuffle. There's too many sports around.
I agree.